And this is the idea of that is basically because we needed to show for general public the place of science in the society. This I wrote in a report, and I think that was Scientific American, describing the way that the way that people see science in the developed world and the developing world. So basically, it's clear in the developed world that they are not independent from the rest of the world, the scientific community, and that they should be always aimed to innovate, to create new things. And but in the developing world, the role of scientists is not well recognized in the society yet. So we have really a challenge to try to change this scenario. Okay, and more than that, if you get really, this is the percentage of science in different countries. If you go to US and Japan, almost 1% of the population really is working with science. But if you go to Brazil, it's 0.1%. So we need much more scientists working here. So this is also why we believe that's important to invest in the popularization of science here in the country. Okay. The other things that what we could call like the social responsibility of the scientist. There are just like too many words here, but the idea is that basically that there are different motivations for anyone to become a scientist. Could be like just the challenge to try to alleviate disease and suffering, to understand the mechanisms by which things and the world work, the intellectual challenge and the joy of discovery. But also, others may see science as a well-supported and respected occupation. But all of these things, they are real. But one other thing that I really think that's important is the social responsibility. Why I'm saying that? Like, how many of you see dolphins in this picture? If you ask kids to do that, they will basically see the dolphins. But more adults, they will see other things, not the dolphins. So it's basically what happened with the society, depending on their expectation about some of the results about science. We have to show where are the dolphins. We have to show what's real and what's not real at that moment. So this is why I think that's a very important and responsibility from us. So this is just two examples of these things. One I showed in the soap opera part that I mentioned to you. And the other thing is that this is a book from Dorothy Nelkin, 1995, that she says, whenever we say, like the scientific community, say anything in public, we are concerned about our image. We are afraid of what our colleagues will say. So this is something that really happens with us. And it's hard to change this thing. Because like, for a lot of people in the society, it's important for the scientist to give his opinion. Like, it's important for people to know what Adalberto thinks about what's going on in Amazon. Because if it's not Adalberto that's going to say things, to be other guy, it's probably going to not have all of the information that he has. So it's important for us to spread the word about things of our field. This is just two examples that's related to the soap opera thing. One is this. This is the one website that's called China Stem Cell News, and they recruit people to go there to receive the treatment with stem cells. It's paid, and then you and then you return to your country, and basically there is no follow-up about if the people recovered or not. So it's a very dangerous thing, but that we can't basically try to block in Brazil, because the website's there, and actually they have some representative in Brazil that come here to talk to people. And they understand how it's hard for any patient or for the family of the patient. The guy is with a very degenerative disease problem. The expectation of life is not so high. So they try to do everything for them. So what we try to do is try to at least show that like there's no, at least at the moment, ways of recovering them with this kind of approach, because we need more research, and we need to do what we call the controls to do this thing. And we need to do also the clinical tests. And when we do the clinical tests, it's not paid. So anyone that's involved in clinical tests in Brazil, they don't pay anything. They are part of the clinical test. And I had a hard problem with that. This guy, he's a physician from Portugal. He came to Brazil to give a talk. I don't have anything against him. But after his talk, I was there. There was a journalist from the Estado de São Paulo, and he asked me what I found about his conference. And basically, he didn't show data. He just showed some patients that improved, but without showing the controls. And this is basically what I said to him, to the journalist. And then he published it in Estado de São Paulo. It was hard for me because the patients, they become very upset with me because it was basically was going against him. And I was not going against him. I was just showing that like I can't say anything else about his approach because he didn't show any data. He doesn't have any publications. So it was hard for me to say anything. So it was, in that moment, I realized how important it is really for us to show what we think and to challenge the other guys to show also what they think or their papers. Okay, this is other thing that I was involved with too. This guy, he was arrested. He was planting marijuana here in Rio. And then he was arrested. It was it was a trick situation. But then a group of neuroscientists, we went to discuss this in public. Okay, let's discuss. I was not discussing basically the marijuana itself, but the law behind to have someone arrested in Brazil because of was planting marijuana and was not a drug dealer. Or anyway, it was also a very tough situation in that moment because it was before these two movies that now we have in the country, one with our former president, Fernando Henrique Cardoso, that's also discussed this situation, and the other movie that's called Cortina de Fumaça. One is called Quebrando o Tabu, and the other Cortina de Fumaça. But it was before that period. So it was hard, and it was interesting also because even some of the scientists, they say, oh, you can't say anything about this kind of issue, because like, science, they can't say anything. They have to be like we say in Portuguese, like above the wall, I would say, em cima do muro, I would say something like that. You can't really say anything else. But so it was really an experience we decided to discuss this thing, to discuss the law, to discuss the things that are behind the arresting people. This guy's a musician. To arresting people and to put these people together with drug dealers. Anyway, but it was a good experience afterwards. And he was, fortunately, after we have this letter that we sent to Folha de São Paulo, the newspaper, he was released. So I just like to ask some of you about other ways in which you think that like you can exercise your responsibilities to society.